everyone. So, recently, Mercy got a little bit nerfed. And I think, honestly, as a whole, the community's taking it really well. After Mercy dies, I don't know who to play. After the slaughter of Mercy, I will have no one to play as. Thanks for ruining the supports. Time to quit healing again. Just take the healers out the game. I am tired of relearning my favourite hero again and again. I'm auto-locking DPS from now on. I've lost my desire to care. Yikes! This is a lot of toxicity! Won't somebody please think of the children?
Honor. Mercy, Honor. Mercy. Mercy. Widow, be Mercy. And I'm telling you to be Mercy. Yes. Yes, good Honor. I mean, good Mercy. Honor! I'm telling you, Honor, be Mercy. Honor? Yes, good Mercy.
Yeah, no, honestly, I'm not sure I want to touch this. This is... Oh my, I mean, I know he's literally a child, but the fact that the situation with supports has put us in... I'm gonna walk away from this one. I'm gonna walk away from this one. Oh no! I'll tell you what. You know what he reminds me of?
Nice day today. I think I might. Was that Alan?
Honor, Honor, Honor!
Yeah, I don't think you need me, you know. No.
Honor, 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 Honor!
Alright, let's get to the point. There is a lot to digest here, and it all stemmed and started from Mercy getting her res changed so that her ulti no longer refreshes the cooldown or lowers it, it just doubles the range you can res, which is a, let's not really dance around it, a huge crippling nerf to a character that was recently elevated to a position and level of fun that support players haven't felt in a long time. I mean, what has effectively happened with New Mercy is you got given a puppy for Christmas, and then later that day, they took it away, and then you never saw little Woofers again. I hope he's living strong! And it's really quite sad. It really is. And the thing is, there's a lot to be said for both sides here. So talking Blizzard, it is technically on the PTR, which means it is subject to change, but the thing is, nearly every single change that's ever gone in the PTR has just happened, and it's really hard to not have the jaded impression that our feedback is largely irrelevant, because when has any major change to a major change happened on the PTR based on feedback? It's very hard to think of one, so I can totally get behind the mentality of this isn't just something you're testing, you are nerfing Mercy, you know, I know the track record, this is going to go through, so yeah, that is fair enough. But the big one is Mercy is one of the most picked heroes right now by an order of magnitude. In fact, relative to the lifespan of Overwatch, she's one of the most picked heroes just generally ever, and that's not good for Blizzard. I'm sure they have lots more internal numbers than we have access to, but clearly if we ignore the outside circumstance and look at the cold fact, when a hero is this level of you will generally always see one on both teams, always, they do get toned back, because make no mistake, Mercy is too good. She is, I would go as far as to say, as good as Genji was during the who has the better Genji meta, and Genji did eventually get nerfed, though therein lies another issue. Genji got nerfed after ages of reigning supreme, whereas Mercy has been very heavily nerfed within a couple weeks, which really doesn't help the mentality of, you know, a DPS is allowed to go on fine, but whoa, is that a support player being too strong? Come on now, no, give that back. give that back. We've seen it with Ana, we've seen it with Zenyatta. You could argue the Lucio one was a nerf, but you know, that one's a little bit more subjective. But the point is, because there's such a low amount of supports to choose from, and because it's seemingly they always aren't allowed to be too strong, you're in a situation where as a support player you feel like, I want to play support, we need a support, but they all kind of suck. And that's a really sucky feeling to have, right? And right now, Mercy players are, well, riding high. Even the best players are having trouble shooting her down with her skinny hitbox and fast speeds. The double res is raising the tempo of an already really fast meta, and it's just really... when any hero is this popular that they start to make games feel predictable. Because Mercy is so much better right now than the other supports, that if you only have one support slot on your team, it is Mercy or you are doing it wrong if you care about winning. That we now have a culture where if you see people not picking Mercy as the support, say they choose Ana or Zenyatta, you have this, what the hell are you doing? Do you want us to lose? Go freaking Mercy, she's so good, what are you doing? And that obviously compounds and kind of sucks for the support player, but then it gets even worse than that, because what if you're a support player that wants to play one of those other heroes? You feel either pigeonholed into Mercy or you don't play the role you want to play. So having one really overpowered support isn't actually that good for the support players, and it also creates a culture of you assume that everyone who's playing Mercy is just riding the flavor of the month and repeatedly playing her and using her power to gain ranking. We have people checking each other's profiles to see how much Mercy time they have, and if it's more than other heroes, they don't get it, oh cool, you're a support main, that's nice of you. They get it, you're just one-tricking Mercy. God, you're just so lame, just playing the powerful hero to gain easy rank. And I feel like they're in a huge situation of having your cake and eating it too. You can't judge people for playing Mercy, but then simultaneously demand that you have a Mercy on your team. And I just really sympathize with support players right now, because they are in such an awful situation, and I can totally get the outrage. They feel pressured, they feel attacked, they got to feel, you know, powerful as a Mercy player, then they got that taken away from them, and it just feels like they're repeatedly getting kicked while they're down, and it's just so indicative of a more inherent core problem with DPS Watch that is just screaming to be fixed, because it's only going to get worse. And the two chief factors that are at play here is, number one, there is simply not enough support variety that does a core support job. If you want a healer on your team, there is Mercy, there is Ana. You could argue Lucio, you could argue Zenyatta, but their healing output isn't fantastic, right? If you want someone to pump healing into injured person, Ana and Mercy are your choices. If you want a general utility field off healer is helping out, then you've got Lucio and you've got Zenyatta. And that's 4 heroes. Whereas if you're there as a DPS player, somebody's picked the soldier, don't worry, you take Genji. Somebody's taking soldier and Genji, don't worry, you take Tracer. Oh, there's McCree there as well. Oh, I might play a little bit of Sombra. Oh, I might go Junkrat, you never know. Hell, I might even bust out the old Mei. That could be cool. And there's just so much more choice of hero to just sit back and kill people on. And the thing is, because Assault players are the ones that feel like they're doing the work, there's a lot of people who have generated the attitude that, shut up support, you need to keep me alive so I can actually kill the enemy and win the game for us, come on now. I've seen people make the arguments that Overwatch is an FPS, which means obviously the Assault heroes are the focus because they're supposed to be shooting people. It's a shooter game, and oh my god, that is such a reductive, backwards attitude. It really is. Overwatch is an FPS, sure, but it is more a MOBA taken to a first-person perspective with aiming than anything else, at least in my mind. The abilities mean that it is so not just an FPS, you know? It is a class-based shooter, and not every class needs to be designed around killing the enemy. Keeping your allies from being killed, right, is equally viable to to killing the enemies. Both things achieve a situation where your team is the winner, and that delicate balance across roles is one of Overwatch's greatest strengths. And it just feels like more and more and more and more the support players, and to some extent the tanks too, though really if the tanks are anything to go by, Mercy is going to get missiles added to compensate for this nerf. Seriously, can we have less DPS pushing changes? There is a whole subset of people, me included, that get so much more satisfaction from the non-purely I kill the enemy, okay, aspects of the game, because the Overwatch really offers you that. It's a really unique game in that it is, you know, obviously shootery happening, but you can really make impacts in not specifically put bullet in enemy way, and that's really satisfying for a lot of people. But that group of people is smaller than the people who want to shoot a enemy dead. That Blizzard seem to have decided that the biggest group of people to please are the shoot the enemy deads, so we'll just keep pleasing them and sod everyone else. And while I don't believe they're actually sat in a boardroom making that choice, it's hard not to feel like that is the case recently, and that's a real shame for the game. It really is. And honestly, even with all of this said, Overwatch isn't in a horrible state right now. Throughout the entire game's release, there's always been complaints about certain heroes, certain setups, certain overpowered, underpowered, whatevers. It's not great right now, but it's not horrible. But it just highlights the fact that this support issue is such a big deal that it is overshadowing a game that has matured into an otherwise really quite stellar experience, and that is worrying. Just getting boxed into this corner, they're getting attacked there from all sides, and even seemingly from Blizzard, and they just feel kinda, But this all said, the reaction to this, the anger, the hate, the what have you done, it's not the right way to go about it. Hell, Jeff posted why the Overwatch team don't respond a lot because someone assumed that they were a small team based on it, is not because they're a small team, because they're genuinely nervous to engage with a lot of the critical people because they just get anger, unmitigated hate, and misunderstanding of the game as a whole. And the idea that development might genuinely being held back by the toxic vocal minority is really, really sad. And the reason this toxicity happens is for a lot of people, they get home from a stressful life, they want to play Overwatch at the moment, that's their chosen game, they want to just relax and forget about responsibilities, and let's say they like playing X-Hero, and then X-Hero gets nerfed and they're no longer fun. That little bubble of happiness they get from playing this game and switching off is then kind of ruined, and that turns a lot of people quite mean. Yes, it really shouldn't, and most, you know, sensible, well-adjusted people don't, but a lot of people do, and that's a big reason where the psychology of this anger comes from. But at the same time, that's definitely not an excuse for it, and really, you know how incredibly difficult and delicate it is to make everyone happy and balance a game, never mind a game as complex and prevalent as Overwatch. You simply cannot make everyone happy as a dev, and I am sure they are just as sad at this support situation as a lot of us are, and they are probably going to do something to try and make it better. But the simple fact of the matter is, Mercy was too strong, way too strong, and she did need nerfing. Is it an over nerf? I would argue probably so, but the point is she did need a nerf. But it's because it happens to be on a support, it happens to be at a time where supports are already feeling screwed over for ages. It's just, well, really bad timing, and it has just set ablaze the kindling of supports that has been building for a very, very long time, and honestly, it really does need addressing. The other solution is obviously to try and bring all of the supports up to a somewhat respectable power level. Maybe if Mercy is a 9 out of 10 and the others are all 6s, they all need to be brought to an 8, so they all have their function. But the thing is with support, right, it's such a delicate situation because you generally want a main support and every now and then a secondary backup support. So you pick Mercy and you pick Zenyatta and you roll with that. But generally speaking, there is one slot for your main. This person applies healing to people in large amounts. So even if you had like 10 healing-based heroes, you know, output healing-based heroes, like Mercy, like Ana, they do other things, sure, but healing is their go-to. Even if you had 10 of them, there would still be one that is generally the best, that is the support to pick. Ana was super prevalent. I mean, she still is a lot of the time, but she was the go-to support for the longest time until Mercy got this buff. Whereas with DPS, it's less cut and dry, right? They each bring a load of different things to the table. You have multiple slots for them generally, and you can actually play around a lot more instead of, yo, we need a support, so let's just take the best support. I feel like that is a sentence that gets uttered a lot, whereas it's much harder to say we need 2 DPS, take the 2 best DPS. Certainly possible, but nowhere near as easy to pigeonhole them as it is support. So the player's current mentality coupled with how actually genuinely, and I want to stress this a lot, difficult it is to balance supports in a game like this in a way that feels satisfying and fun for everyone has led to this cataclysmic situation where everyone is just upset about something, honestly, and really that's my weigh in on the issue. I realise I didn't put a lot of solutions forward outside of general generic ones, but as I said, it's difficult. I don't have the solution. I mean, clearly I don't have it, just average Joe video talker. If Blizzard themselves clearly don't have it, so it is a really, really difficult thing. But that's the situation, and that's how I can totally understand support players' reaction to this, how they must be feeling, and it's just silly, right? We need more unity as a community, and that's such a cliche, thing to say, but it's really true, my word. Alright guys, like you've enjoyed this, subscribe for more, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.
Rage gaming with the video flow, shenanigans and Overwatch, and his fans all know that every single thumbnail, so elegant. Jokes so funny, causing you to cry. Editing is quality as the noon is high. Yo, concussion man, shoot to the sky, cap it all off with a goodbye.